Well, hi everyone. I'm John Ritland, and this is a real honest rant about the Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns rivalry, and how Braun owes every single goddamn thing that he has in WWE to Roman Reigns. This is coming from somebody that is not a big fan of Roman. I want to say that right off the bat. I won't say that Braun didn't put in the work, and don't worry, I'm not going to fail to mention Braun's comments on Evil Uno Instagram post. Don't worry, I will get to that. That'll be near the end of this video, and that'll kind of wrap all the things up. But I want to look at the fact that this feud was Braun's peak. They failed to capitalize on it, and maybe in retrospect, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. But I am going to try to be fair and impartial before I go just absolutely crazy at the end. So taking a look back at 2015. Roman's doing his thing. He's about to become WWE champion. They call up Braun, and he's at, I believe, Night of Champions, 2015. And it was really weird. He wasn't in the best shape. There was even talks of Braun facing Undertaker WrestleMania 32. That wouldn't have been a good idea then, because honestly, Braun wasn't in all that great of shape and needed to get in better shape and needed to do some stuff. And he eventually did. Roman would become WWE champion at WrestleMania 32. Braun would kind of putter along. They would do the brand split. Roman would have to fight back from that suspension he had, that wellness violation, whatever it was. I'm not totally sure on all the details. You guys can let me know in the comments if you want, but I'm going to leave that by the wayside because it was so many years ago and many others have violated the wellness policy as well. Again, not the biggest fan of Roman Reigns. So, Braun then starts having some squash matches once they do the Raw SmackDown brand split, and they try to make both shows feel different. And they were doing that for a while, and now they both feel the same. And I'm not talking about the empty arena stuff that's going on as of this moment. I'm talking about just the fact that the shows start to feel the same with the same opening promos and all that and everything. But anyway, he's doing squash matches. He has that feud with Sami Zayn. He's doing some stuff. He's actually getting over as a monster heel. We got Roman doing all this stuff. And then we go to the Royal Rumble 2017, where Roman's in the final two. I believe he's in the final two, and then Orton eliminates him. Braun was also in that Rumble. And you kind of felt that these two were eventually going to clash. They did eventually clash, and it was at Fastlane 2017, where Reigns naturally beat Braun. And it seemed like, okay, great, all right, they're going to put him in the title picture. They didn't put him in the title picture. They had Braun in the Battle Royal, where he did not win. Mojo Rawley, of all people, won that Battle Royal, because that was when Gronkowski thought it was a good idea to try and get in the ring, and that female security guard doing a really, I don't know her name, doing a really good job trying to keep Gronk out of WWE. If only everybody else had tried that hard, then we wouldn't have gotten him as 24/7 champion. Fucking hell, just retire the goddamn belt. Anyway, let's get back to the whole show. Reigns beats Undertaker in a very abysmal WrestleMania main event for a variety of reasons. It wasn't the fault of Reigns or Taker necessarily. It wasn't like they weren't putting any effort, but Taker was beat up. Reigns could not carry a match with just, complete dead weight, or dead man weight, if you will. And from there, they had every opportunity to turn Roman Reigns heel, and then they were building up Braun. It's like, oh, maybe they could heat up Braun and have him work a program with Reigns. And I didn't think the magic was actually going to work like it did. But what happened is they had Roman, they had Roman do the whole, this is my yard now, and then he's doing a backstage interview. And then Braun just wrecks his shit, beats him up and everything, puts him through a table, just tosses him around, all that stuff. Roman's being strapped to a gurney or strapped to a stretcher. And then Braun is the immortal, and the crowd's chanting, "You deserve it. You deserve it," which, yeah, that's what you want from the guy you're trying to build up as your top guy, as your top face. You deserve it. Braun does a whole "I'm not finished with you," beats him up on the stretcher. It's an obvious dummy, but throws him off, on the stretcher, off the lift where the trailers go. And it's just absolutely hilarious. It's just, I was laughing my goddamn ass off. And I was never more of a fan of Braun Strowman than I was right there. Now, I can still respect Braun Strowman, the performer. But to me, he's been lazy for a number of months. And that could come down to booking, but anyway, the whole point is at this point, I was on board with it. And then the fans are still chanting, "You deserve it, you deserve it." They're doing all this stuff. And my God, Braun at this point was doing some strongman shit, beating up some stuff, which is ironic because he had to leave strongman because he wasn't earning enough money, but everybody else needs to go get a real goddamn job. Idiot. Anyway, we get, the stuff that's going on. It's going on with, their match of Payback. He beats Roman there. A lot of plunder, a lot of, like announcer table spot, and then steel steps to Roman afterwards. Braun was really getting over at this point, and they had every opportunity to give him the championship, but then he got injured. I don't remember. I think it was the elbow injury or something like that, but he had bone chips in his elbow or something. And the match of Brock that I believe was supposed to take place at Extreme Rules got, pushed back. So, was it Extreme Rules? I think it was Extreme Rules. And then they did a Fatal 5-Way elimination match, or not elimination match, where Joe beat everybody. He choked out Balor, I believe. And then he would have a match with Lesnar at Great Balls of Fire. That was something that actually happened. All the while, we had Braun versus Reigns in an ambulance match. And that was a great thing. That was a great idea. And they were doing some really good stuff. This was Braun's best work. This was Braun's peak. His rivalry with Reigns in 2017 was his peak. They tried to reignite it in 2018. It sort of worked, but it sort of didn't. But he was really excelling right here. Then they had the 4-way with Samoa Joe and Lesnar. No, that's not a euphemism. Where, hey, that was a really damn good match. And everything was heating up where, like, Braun almost had Lesnar beat. It's like all this kind of stuff. And then Lesnar, I believe, would pin Roman Reigns. So Reigns was taking a lot of losses at this point. And then we go to No Mercy, and you're thinking, okay, it's going to be Lesnar versus Braun. Put the title on Braun for a bit, maybe till the Rumble, and then Lesnar could win it back. Because Lesnar doesn't need to be the champion if they're not going to have him around all that much. And again, this is back a few years ago. They didn't do that. They had Braun, it was a lazy match, and they had Braun literally fall to 1 F5. It pretty much destroyed Braun right there. And then he had the 3-way with Lesnar and Kane at the Royal Rumble, and you had that whole receipt of, like, the punch to the head that rocked Braun, and that was kind of funny. And that right there pretty much destroyed Braun in general. Like, they didn't want Braun to necessarily lose matches, but they didn't want to go with him as a singles champion. He won the tag titles with a goddamn kid. Reigns is doing his stuff and everything, so the whole rivalry with Reigns and Braun was kind of out the window at this point, and Reigns would face Lesnar at Mania 34, and he wouldn't win in an abysmal match, a really abysmal match. Brock wasn't happy, but maybe he should be happy about the fact he's gotten millions for not putting in a lot of effort with some guys. But I digress. Braun would then win Money in the Bank. He would become Mr. Monster in the Bank. He'd had that feud with Kevin Owens and toss Kevin Owens off a cage through the announcer's table, where Braun was supposed to be a sympathetic monster or a babyface, and Owens was seeming more like the good guy because he was seeming more like the guy that was just getting tortured and beat up and everything. And yeah, he was trying to attack Braun, but he got thrown in a porta potty. All the blue stuff went all over him. So Braun was at another peak here, not his hottest peak like he was a year before, because Roman did help make him, and the company helped make him, and they created magic together. I would argue the Braun-Reigns rivalry in 2017 was one of the best feuds of the decade, at least top 20. I'm not saying top 10, but at least top 20. And if we're going WWE, it might even have to be top 10 because it was just really that goddamn good. But then they teased the cash-in with Lesnar and Reigns at SummerSlam 2018. That doesn't work. Brock throws the briefcase and hits he's just that naturally strong, or, unnaturally strong. Roids and all that. Throws it and takes out a piece of the LED board. Okay, great. So, great. Braun didn't successfully cash in. He didn't even attempt to cash in, but they kept him there to do that and whatever. All right. So then Reigns wins, and you're thinking, okay, Braun's going to cash in. He hands his briefcase to Baron Corbin, who was the Raw GM at the time, and is like, hey, I'm going to cash in early. I want my shot at Roman Reigns. And then Lesnar comes out and beats them all up. And they can't continue the match after in a Hell in a Cell match. Where the tag team championship match that happened earlier with Drew and Ziggler and Ambrose, at the time Ambrose, now John Moxley, and Seth Rollins had a match within a match, fighting on top of the cage and stuff like that, while Braun and Reigns basically took a nap. Now, to be fair, they are two bigger guys, especially Braun, so they can't go forever. But that was just a goddamn mess. It completely cooled off Braun. he was not anybody that was doing anything good. And even if you go back to like 2017 when they finally decided to turn, finally decided to do something good with him after losing to Brock, they had him feud with The Miz and all that stuff and the dumpster truck stuff. It started to get really goofy to the point where, okay, now I can't take him seriously. Maybe then again, wrestling is goofy. So we go to Crown Jewel, where you're thinking of the November 2018 Saudi show. Which, sorry, brain, it's like, sometimes I'm like, no, not Greatest Royal Rumble, it was Crown Jewel. And they had a chance to have Braun beat Lesnar there. Because it was the vacant Universal Championship, because Roman had to relinquish it due to the return of his leukemia. Little sidebar. If you were one of the jackasses saying that Roman Reigns should have done WrestleMania and not worried about his goddamn family and his health and the fact that he has kids and he has his own well-being to worry about, you were a fucking asshole and you need to stay off this channel. You can be upset that Roman Reigns wasn't there. It's like, oh, I wanted to see Roman versus Goldberg, and that's fine. But if you're one of the assholes that's going to complain because he let his leukemia get in the way or, oh, he screwed over the company, no, he fucking didn't. There is wrestling and there is family. I don't have any children. I don't plan to have any goddamn children, but credit to Roman Reigns, who I'm not a fan of, being willing to give away that, even if it wasn't much of a WrestleMania payday because it was in front of no people, he chose family over profit. And credit to him for that. So, back to Crown Jewel. They had Corbin screw over Braun and then Lesnar beats him. Right there, that was it. That was completely it. Braun, then there were some attitude issues and stuff like that, apparently. And then he slid down the card from there. 2019, Mania 35, he won the Royal Rumble, won the Battle Royal and feuded with those SNL guys. That was atrocious. And then, yes, he was Intercontinental Champion earlier this year for a little bit. His first singles championship after being on the main roster for nearly 5 goddamn years. I'm not saying that Braun Strowman could have been the guy, but the fact they never went with him was pretty goddamn ridiculous. They would always go with Roman for a variety of reasons. I totally get it. But at first, okay, you want to, get fans on his side, all right. But once that Lesnar match happened at No Mercy 2017, they had to do a reset on him. And then, again, the tag title win with the Kid, that was all stupid. It goes back to how great that Roman versus Braun feud was, and it really excelled and made them goddamn good. Made them both elevate their game. It just made for must-see television. When Raw at that point had some issues. But that was, destination programming, at least those segments, whether they were matches, whether it was Roman facing somebody on TV, Braun facing somebody on TV. You always wondered which one was going to come in and screw over the other and continue this feud. Because they went over multiple pay-per-views. And then 2018, that was fine. It did get cut off because of Roman's, the unfortunate timing where his leukemia came back. And thank God he beat it. Fucking assholes that think that he faked it. You're fucking idiots. And you don't belong here. You don't belong in the wrestling fan community. You don't belong at all. So, now we get to the Evil Uno comments. And this is where I'm going to wrap up on this. This is where I lost all respect for Braun. Now, do I understand, I want to say this much. Braun basically said that, Braun basically commented on Evil Uno. Evil Uno is the Dark Order, by the way, for those who don't know, in AEW. A lot of independent wrestlers are losing income, have lost income because of all these shows being, canceled or, at least postponed due to the pandemic. And they're at least temporarily unable to get as much income as they would have been able to. Like at WrestleMania weekend and stuff like that. That would have been a big boost for every single person. Now, I understand some people thinking that, okay, not every wrestler can get the income that they lost, and that some need to look for other ways to do that. You have to adapt. This is true. But it is not like it is the fault of these independent wrestlers for, they did not cause this. They did not want this to happen. Nobody wanted this to happen. Nobody wanted to lose income or have adjustments in their income or have to go get unemployment because they lost their job and all the stuff that has come with this, all the adjustments and everything, at least temporarily until everything gets back to where we can have wrestling in front of fans and these wrestlers, from small companies to even lower level companies where some of them maybe gain some guaranteed money, but without these shows, what income do they have? They can sell merch, they can do, OnlyFans, or they can do ways to earn income. And some fans have been helping out in the wrestling fan community, have been doing their best, at least what I've seen, to help out wrestlers the best they can. We should not exhaust our own finances to help them, but we should give what we can. Because these wrestlers do put their bodies on the line, and a lot of them travel for little to no money just for the chance to get in front of some fans, sell some merch, and get some money to, you know, pay their bills and stuff like that, their rent and all that. So Braun basically, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically said, well, it's like you're looking for handouts, you should get, it's like maybe you should go get another job. You should go for a line of work. You should get another job, get a real job. This coming from a guy that only has his only qualifications for being in wrestling was that he was really tall. Vince loves men that are really, really tall. He loves big, sweaty men. He really, really does. And Braun fit that bill because he's like 6'8", 6'9", 300 some odd pounds. And he does fit that bill. And of course, Vince is going to love him. There are other companies that probably would have loved to have had the guy because you could see that you could mold him like some clay into what your image is. The problem is he then says, oh, well, I quit strongman because I wasn't doing, it was like I wasn't making any money, and I went down to become a wrestler in a Kia Soul. I don't know how Braun would have fit in Kia Soul if you know anything about cars, but I'm not disputing that. I just don't know how much of that Kia Soul was left because, my God, it must have been dragging on the ground with how big he is. But anyway, he then said, oh, the Kia Soul with $150 in his pocket and a dream. Okay, then the dream thing may have not been said, but it may have been implied. So he basically was saying that, oh yeah, I got this chance. I didn't really have to work that hard to get where I was because, to be honest, he was given quite a bit of money shortly after he got onto the main roster. He was given more money than a lot of the women are making. A lot of the women who have fought and clawed and scratched and done way more to their bodies to just get noticed than he ever could. And Braun Strowman doing that was basically a slap in the goddamn face to so many damn people that have cut their teeth, that gave him a business that allowed him to basically earn more money than he probably deserves. Now, does he get a little bit too much flack? There are some say that he didn't put in any work. Now, he put in some work. I won't deny that. I talked about the Roman Reigns rivalry, and you can tell he's made improvements in how he looks. But it shows a blatant disregard for the people that are working hard, where Braun could easily have stuff flipped, and he could be on the indies earning maybe comparable money, but he could be in the same goddamn position. Maybe it was misguided, maybe it was just ignorance, but not coming from a background, not having a respect for people that are living and dying basically on income they get from indie wrestling is just it's a blatant disregard for just being smart and understand, just having the vision to realize that, you know, words do have consequences. And I've learned that too. I've made plenty of mistakes as far as stuff I've said on video and Twitter, and I own up to that, and I don't really care if I offend anybody because it's my opinions, and I'm not going to say that you guys can't have opinions. I may disagree, but yeah, I've gotten angry at people. But I've you know, not chosen my words well. This was more of a personal attack, in my personal opinion, and I think that Braun should have apologized, done a video apology, and said, I'm going to take some of my money and I'm going to donate to some of these wrestlers, and even if it was just 10 grand, 5 grand or whatever, and spread it to, like, say 5-7 wrestlers or whatever, and just split it evenly or something like that. At least it would have been something. Or donate to pandemic relief or something like that. Make good on it, and then maybe all this stuff would have gone away. But Braun didn't do that. He didn't really show any level of understanding for what people are going through, and that's the disappointing thing. I'm not saying that the strongman stuff and the Kia Soul and $150 isn't true. But, and that's tough. I mean, I'm fortunate to have work, and I'm fortunate to still be working and doing stuff, and there are some people that are struggling, and I respect that. But there are so many indie wrestlers, and even wrestlers in companies like AEW that are basically glad that they have their contract money. But this is a tough time for a lot of independent wrestlers, and I feel for many of them. Braun didn't. And Braun getting rewarded by becoming the Universal Champion, goddamn joke. And it's a goddamn joke because Vince is known for rewarding people who decide to say stupid shit. Or people that want to be jackasses because Vince himself is pretty much a jackass. So that's just my take on that. So that's where I'm at right there. So yeah, I'm done with Braun Strowman, in all honesty. He's done with me. I don't really care much about him anymore. I don't wish him any ill will, don't wish him any injury, don't wish any of that. But I soured on him for a couple years, and this just confirmed that I was right to sour on him. Yes, we make mistakes. We choose our words poorly. But the fact that he never apologized for it and he didn't seem to do anything to show that he was sorry or that he was aware he had made a mistake, no, fuck that guy. Anyway, that's my opinion. Agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.